Good morning, geometry class. Hope all are doing well. Glad to see everybody's getting their homework in. Very important that your assignments are up to date. We'll have your checkup scored for tomorrow, so I'll get that to you as soon as possible. We're going to pick up, though, on page number 19 in your textbook. Page number 19 in your textbook. So thus far, we've learned yesterday the slope of a line. And so the slope of a line is the slant of a line. And we looked at the slope formula, which you need to memorize, is m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And so very important to understand that if the slope moves up and to the right, it's a positive slope. If the slope moves down and to the right, it is a negative slope. Now also we learned yesterday the idea between a no slope and a zero slope. And so, by way of review, page number 16 in your notes there. And so, if we have a horizontal line, so in our coordinate plane, if we have a horizontal line, the horizontal line would be a zero slope, and a vertical line, a line that's straight up and down, would be a undefined or no slope. So I'm going to keep making sure you know those things. Very important as we now build on those principles. We're going to begin on page number 19. Page number 19, okay? So we looked yesterday, we finished off on page 18, which was simply graphing equations. Equations, we looked at this page, can be graphed, and so just with one variable. So we did an x or a y. Now we're going to learn to graph with two variables, all right? So graph an equation with two variables. And so in order to do that, we must assign values of an x and y. These numbers become the coordinates for the point on the line. So I have up on the board here, we have x plus y equals 10. So x and y become the coordinates on the graph, okay? So if you can follow along with me, you're at the top of page number 19. We're going to begin reading at the second sentence. An equation like x plus y equals 10 has an unlimited number of values that will satisfy it, right? So obviously, 1 plus 9 or 0 plus 10, unlimited amount of variables that will determine the answer for that equation. Now, we can assign any value of x that would be easily located on the coordinate plane, then find the corresponding of y. So we want to assign at least three values to x and y, and we want to use whole numbers. Now, if you look on your page there, so we have x plus y, and then we have, in the x column, we have 4, 2, and 1, and then 6, 8, and 9. Okay, now what we want to do here is we want to see if those numbers satisfy this equation. So if 4 plus 6 is 10, so that satisfies. 2 plus 8 is 10. 1 plus 9 equals 10, right? So the coordinates of any point on the line. So if we would plot these coordinates on the coordinate plane, you will find that it would become a straight line. All right, so, and look, we know any 2 points determine a straight line. And so we see here the line containing these points is the graph of the equation. So we have a straight line here. So if we did 1, 9, so here's 1, I did 9. And then we have, 4, 6, and then 2, 8. Okay, so 2, 8. Okay, and so any graph, any point on this line, okay, would give me a straight line. So that's the graph of a line. Now, the coordinates of any point on the line will satisfy the equation. So we got these three on here, but what if I graphed this point here earlier? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5, 5. Now, if I plug that into my equation, right, x and y, so 5 plus 5 equals 10. Because any point on this line will satisfy this equation. All right, so we'll satisfy this equation. So 8 plus 2 is 10. 5 plus 5 is 10, right? 4 plus 6 is 10. So we can go 0 and 10. right? If 0 and 10, that gives me 10. So any number on that line will satisfy that equation. Now, I want you to look at the sentence right below the graph. The standard form of an equation for a line is ax plus by equals c. You want to memorize that. That is the standard form of equation of a straight line. We would often call this a linear equation. The linear equation, linear just meaning straight line. Okay, so a and b and c would just be numbers. So ax plus by equals c. You want to memorize that. For any equation in standard form, all the terms containing the same variable must be combined and equal to a number. Must be combined and equal to a number. So again, if we have obviously like terms, before we do anything, you want to make sure it's in standard form. Okay, so if I had something like this, okay, that's not in standard form. You want to put this in standard form. So it's moving. You might have to move the variables back and forth just to try, okay, just to make sure. But it must be in standard form. Now, it brings me to Theorem 106. The graph of an equation in the form of ax plus by equals c, with both a and b not equal to 0, is a line. So with both a and b, they both cannot be 0. So this is the graph of a straight line. Okay? So the graph of this equation is a straight line. Now let's turn to page number 20. Okay? So let's determine if the line of each equation passes through an indicated point. All right? So get my eraser here. I'll leave that up on the board. Okay, we have 5x minus 4y equals 4. Okay, we want to know if this line, all right, so determine if the line would pass through these points. How would I know if these points would be on the line? So how we would know that is if I plug them into this equation and it would equal 4. So let's quickly do this. Number 2 on page 20, okay? So we're going to go, all right, remember x and y. So 5 times 4 minus 4 times 4, does that equal 4? All right, so 20 minus 16, does that equal 4? 4 does equal 4. So therefore, we would write in the blank yes or no. And so if it does satisfy the equation, then we would write in the blank yes, okay? So let's do number 4. 2x plus y equals 1. And our points would be 1, 1, okay? 1, 1. So let's quickly plug it in here. So 2 times 1 plus 1, does that equal 1? Well, we have 2 plus 1. 2 plus 1 equals 3. So 3 does not equal 1. So in the blank for number 4, we would simply put no. Okay? Number 6. Number 6. All right, I'll put it right here. We have negative 2x plus 4y equals 0. And our coordinates are 6, 3. So let's plug these into our values. Let's see if it equals 0. Negative 2 times 6 plus 4 times 3 equals 0. Okay? Negative 12 plus 12, does that equal 0? So negative 12 plus 12 does equal 0. So we would say, hey, do these points, will they end up on the line? Does the line pass through coordinate 6, 3? And the answer would be yes, because the coordinates 6, 3 satisfy the equation and it equals out to 0. Now let's look at number 8. Find the value, fill in the table with the values of x and y and graph the line. So, okay, let me erase this here. All right, this board not doing so well here. All right, we have x plus y equals 5. Now, we want to use at least 3 values, and then we want to graph it. Okay, so we have our x and y here, and so we're going to go -1, -2, -3, -4, +1, +2, +3, +4, okay? And then let's do the top. Okay, and then the bottom. And so forth. All right, we'll go a little higher here. Okay, now let's pick 3 values, okay? So the 3 values have to equal 5. Once we get our 3 coordinates, then we'll graph them and then see if we get a straight line, okay? So x plus y equals 5. Now, it does not matter what numbers you put in as long as the numbers satisfy that equation, okay? So how about we go, all right, let's start off real easy. Let's say 0, 5, okay? Right, 0 plus 5 equals 5. Okay, how about -2 plus 7? Does that equal 5? Okay, so -2 plus 7 equals 5. And then how about 2 and 3? You could put 1 and 4. You could put here, right, 7 and -2. As long as the answer equals 5, we will have a straight line. So let's graph these. So we go to our graph here. So 0, 5 would be, okay, 0 is x, then 5 up, right there. Okay, so 0, 5. All right, -2, 7. So -2 over, then 7 up. Okay, and then 2, 3. Okay, and then notice we have a straight line. So as long as, right, this is the form of ax plus by equals c, as long as these are not both 0 and the numbers satisfy the equation, we have a linear graph, a straight line, okay? So let's do one more. We'll do number 10 together. Let's do number 10. Okay, number 10, we have x minus 2y equals -4. Okay, you want to go at least 3, okay? At least 3 spots here. So x and, so we have, and then obviously this is 2 times whatever y is, okay? So let's look at this together. All right, we have, how about we go -2, 1. So -2, right, minus 2 equals -4, all right? We could say, can we go 0 and +2? Okay, because if x is 0, right, so then -2 times +2 is -4. So -4 equals -4. All right, how about, let's pick another one here. How about we go 2, 3. Okay, so 2, and then obviously -2 times 3 would be -6. So 2 minus 6 equals -4. All right, so now let's graph it. Okay, so -2 will come over here. -2, 1. So -2, 1 would be right there. Okay, -2, 1. How about we go 0, 2, which would be right there. And then 2, 3 would be right there. Draw our line, and we have a straight line. That means any number on this, any coordinates on this line, right, would satisfy this equation. So that's how you graph. That's how you graph the, okay, the linear equation. Ax plus by equals c. Now let's turn to page number 19. Page number 19 here. Now before we can graph. Sorry, not page number 19, page number 21. We have what is called the point-slope form. The point-slope form. Okay, what is the point slope form? So let me write here. Okay, this is the standard form. Okay, for the linear equation. That's the standard form. Now, look at theorem 107. The equation of the line passing through the point x1, y1, and having a slope m is, okay, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Now, we could find the line. We could find the graph of a line. We could find this equation by this information. If I have the slope and if I have one set of points, I could find this equation. Okay? So I must have a slope and a set of points. Now, how do we find the equation of a line if we're given the slope and a point through which the line passes? Suppose a line passes through a point x1, y1, excuse me, and having a slope m. If x and y is any other point on that line, then we use the formula for the slope of a line. Okay, so, all right, we're going to show you how we come up with this equation here. So we have, remember the slope equation? M equals y2 minus y1 over, all right, so we're just going to use 1 point. So we're going to go x minus x1, okay? Okay, what I want to do now is eliminate the equation. So I'm going to multiply both sides by x minus x1. All right, this cancels out. And here I'm left with x minus x1 times m equals y minus y1. Okay, now by multiplying both sides of the equation by x minus x1, we obtain the point slope form. From this, we arrive at theorem 107. So I could simply rearrange this. Okay, so I can go m equals x minus, or times x minus x1 equals y minus y1. All right, now it doesn't matter. I can rearrange this equation to look just like this and just simply go y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So either form, okay, it's okay. All right, so that's how we come up with that equation. Now, if I have a slope and a set of points, we can find the standard form. Now, here's one thing I want you to remember. I want you to highlight this. It even says remember in your textbook. So remember, highlight this. Always make the coefficient of x. It always has to be a whole number in your final answer. So we're going to use this to come up with that. And so our coefficient, right, it's the number that's always next to the letter, the number that goes with the letter, the variable. So this coefficient always must be a whole number. Can't have a fraction, okay? The second thing you want to know also is that we always want to have a positive first term. So two things we want to have here, a whole number and a positive number. So if this is negative, what we need to do is multiply by -1 and then change all the signs, okay? So a whole number and a positive number. So let's quickly try a couple of these, okay? Let's look at number 2. All right, we have one set of points. So our point is 2, 1. And our slope is -1, 2. Using this point slope form, let's come up with this equation. So all we're going to do is we're going to plug in the numbers, or we're going to solve. Okay, so let's do number 2 here. So we have y minus 1, okay, y1 is 1, right, equals m, which is the slope, -1/2, times x minus x1, which is, x1 is 2. Okay, now we want to simply solve. Okay, we want to simply solve. So how do we do this? We're going to go, okay, y minus 1 equals -1/2 times x is -1/2 x, and then -1/2 times -2, right, would be simply +1, right? Is that correct? Of course not. So, or would it be? Would it be positive? So we have negative 1/2 minus x x minus 2. Okay, so we have 1 there. Right, good. Now, we want to start to arrange it in this form here. Okay, notice we have, okay, what I want to do, all right, now listen, this can get a little tricky here. I don't want you to get confused here. What I want to do is, see how I have parentheses here? Then I want to keep it that way. So I don't want to multiply that out. So very important. So what I'm going to simply do then is get rid of the fraction. That's the first thing I'll do. I'm going to get rid of the fraction, so that means I'm going to multiply everything by 2. So I'm going to go like this. Okay? So this cancels out here. All right, so now all I have is negative 1, x minus 2 on this side, equals, and then we have 2y minus 2. 2y minus 2. Now what we're going to do is, now we can simplify this. So 2y minus 2 equals negative x plus 2. All right, so now we have that. And then once we get that, now we want to begin to put it in this form. So ax plus by equals c. All right, so let's get x and y on the left side of the equation, and let's get the whole numbers on the right side of the equation. So let's do that. So we've got to add x to both sides. So we'll show you. So we have x plus 2y, and I'm going to add 2 to both sides, equals 4. X plus 2y. Notice the form here. X, y, right? X is 1, so 1x, or right? X plus 2y equals 4. And there's your equation there. Okay, so let's do another one. All right, so a little tricky. Let's do another one. Let's do number 4. Let's do number 4. So number 4 is, okay, we have 10, 2. So our point is 10, 2. And our slope is 1, 1. Okay. All right, so let's plug it in here. All right, so we have y minus 2 equals 1 over 1 times x minus x1, which is 10. Okay? All right, so now we're going to just obviously multiply everything by 1. So this here, so we have x minus 10, and here we have y minus 2. Now let's arrange it into our standard equation. So I want to get x and y to the left of the equation, and I want to get negative 2 to the right side of the equation, okay? So let's simply do that. So I'm going to subtract x from both sides. So we have negative x plus y, and I'm going to add 2 to both sides, equals, and then negative 10 plus 2 is negative 8. Now, we can't forget our rules. There are 2 things that we have to look at this first coefficient here. All right, number 1, it must be a whole number. Number 2, it must be positive. Is that positive? It is negative. So then what I need to do is simply multiply the whole equation by negative 1, and that'll change all my signs. So we have x minus y equals 8. And there's your standard equation. All right, so just by knowing a set of points and by knowing the slope, we're able to determine the linear equation. All right, let's do number 6. Number 6. Okay, we have negative 1, 1/2, and we have our slope is negative 7 over 2. Okay, so let's plug in here. Y minus 1/2 equals negative 7 over 2 times x minus, and then we have a negative 1 here. So a minus negative 1. So I'm just going to put a plus 1 there, because a minus and a minus equals a plus, okay? So now let's quickly do this here. So let's multiply. Let's get rid of our fractions. We're going to multiply our fraction by our common denominator. We have 2 is in our denominator, so we're going to multiply everything by 2. Okay? So we have 2y, and then 2 times 1/2 there would be -1. All right? And then we have -7 x plus 1, because these 2's, remember, these 2's cancel out there. Okay, now I'm just going to simply work that out. So 2y minus 1 equals -7x minus 7. Okay, so now what we want to do there is, now that we have everything in standard simplified, we want to put it in our standard equation of ax plus by equals c. All right, so let's get everything in place here. So let's get our x to the left of the equation and then our -1 to the right side of the equation here. So I'm going to add 7 to both sides here. Okay, so we have 7x, all right, plus 2y equals, we're going to add 1 to both sides, so -7 plus 1 equals -6. -6. So 7x plus 2y equals -6. There is your answer. So again, it's in standard form, x, y, and whole number. All right, do one more here. Let's do number 8 together. Okay, again, determining the equation by knowing the point and a slope. So we have 1, -4/3. And we have, our slope is -4/3. Okay, so let's plug these numbers in. Number 8 we're going to do together here. Okay, so number 8, let's plug it in. Y minus -4/3 equals -4/3. And then we have x minus 1. All right, so since I have a negative here, first thing we want to do is make that a positive. Okay, now we have 2 fractions here, so we have a common denominator. I'm going to multiply by 3. So we have 3y plus 4, they cancel out, equals, all right, we're going to multiply everything by 3, -4 x minus 1. Now I'm just going to simplify, use the distributive property to simplify this parenthesis here. So 3y plus 4 equals -4x plus 4. Once I get it here, I need to rearrange this equation to look in our standard form, ax plus by equals c. So I've got to get x to the left. I got to get the whole number to the right. So let's do that. We're going to add 4x to both sides. So 4x plus 3y. Equals, and I got to subtract 4 from both sides. All right, 4x plus 3y equals 0. And that is your standard equation there. And then from that equation, we can simply solve what x and y are by plugging numbers in, and that would satisfy that answer. So the linear equation, the standard form, ax plus by equals C. All right, very good there. Let's do one more here. Let's do number 10, the bottom of page number 22. Page number 10. Number 10. Okay, we have -7, 0, and we have 1, 1 is our slope. We want to write the standard form of the equation for each line passing through P with slope M. Complete each table and then graph the line. Okay, so we have -7, -5, and 0. All right, so let's first find, obviously before we can graph anything, we have to find what the equation is. So we're going to use this point-slope equation to find out our equation. So y minus y1, which is 0, equals 1/1 times x minus x1. Okay? Now, y, all right, so we're going to multiply everything by 1. So let's multiply everything by 1 to get rid of the fraction. You want to eliminate the fraction first thing. So y minus 0 equals, and then cancels out, x, and then minus is a plus there, so x plus 7. Let's rearrange our equation. Let's get x on the right. Let's get the 0 on the left there. And so we have -x plus y equals, right, 0. So, equals 7. What's wrong with this? What's our two rules? The first coefficient must be a whole number, and it must be positive. So how do I change that to a positive? Okay, multiply everything by -1. So x minus y equals -7. There we go. So now all the signs have changed. Now we're going to take this equation, all right? X minus y equals -7. And we want to solve so we can graph this line. So if x is -7, y can be what? -7 minus what will give me -7? -7 minus 0. Very good. Okay? Now, if this is -5, then y must be what? So -5 minus, and we should have what? +2. -5 minus 2 equals -7. And the last one here we have, if this is 0, okay, if this is 0, obviously 0 minus what gives me -7? -7. Now you want to take those coordinates, -7, 0, -5, 2, 0, -7. You want to graph them on the graph for number 10, and you will find out that you will have a straight line. A straight line, because this equation is the graph of a straight line. So I want you today for homework, I want you to do complete page 20, finish page 20, also finish page 22. Finish page 22, and then we'll resume tomorrow on the 2-point equation. So we've learned a couple of equations. You want to make sure you're memorizing them. We're going to do page 23 and 24 tomorrow, and then 25 and 26 is your checkup. You'll be required to take that tomorrow as well. So begin practicing. All right, so have a blessed day. Lord willing, I will see you tomorrow.